This story comes to us from CNN.com and GoodMorningAmerica.com. A couple different news sources on this story. I'm going to try to give you as fast as I can. They're pretty lengthy, but I'll give you as much as I can. But this is the case for when we say don't call the police for help. If you need help, don't call 911. This is why we say it. This right here. Because the attorney for an 11-year-old Mississippi boy who was shot by a police officer after he called 911 for help, said there was no way the boy could have been mistaken for an adult. The attorney, Carlos Moore, is asking for a full and transparent investigation of the shooting of the 11-year-old. Aderrien Murry is recovering after being released from the hospital, according to his family, when he called for the officer to be fired and charged with the shooting. The boy is traumatized and will require counseling. Well, yeah, thank you, Captain Obvious. Aderrien Murry was shot in the chest by an Indianola Police Department officer on an early Saturday morning while the officer was responding to a domestic disturbance call at the child's home, according to mother Nicola Murray and the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. Now, Carlos Moore, that's the attorney, said there's no way the boy could have been mistaken by the officer for the adult who was the subject of the 911 call, a man over 6 foot tall. Moore said this 11-year-old child is about 4 feet 10, it looks like, and so how could he have been confused? So we don't know what happened, but we do know the officer's actions were reckless, very reckless, and could have led to the loss of life, says the attorney. Moore said the boy did everything right on the morning of the shooting and described him as a good student who obeyed his mother's request to call 911. Now, his attorney said no child should ever be subject to such violence at the hands of those who were sworn to protect and serve. They forget about the serve part. We're just here to protect and enforce. No, protect and serve. Protect and enforce. Repeat after me. Protect and serve. Protect and enforce. Protect and serve. Protect and enforce. That's what it's like, man. I digress. The attorney said we must demand justice for this young boy and his family. We cannot allow another senseless tragedy like this to occur. We must come together as a community to demand change and accountability from our law enforcement officials. That's why we record the police. Accountability. Now, Carlos Moore, the boy's mother, and others held a sit-in protest at the Indianola City Hall, a march and a rally to demand the firing of the officer and the release of body camera footage that was planned. The boy was seriously injured and suffered a collapsed lung, fractured ribs, a lacerated liver from the shooting. That could kill him right there. He was released from the University of Mississippi Medical Center in Jackson. And Carlos Moore said of the boy, he still has a lot of questions. He's emotionally distraught. He is glad to be alive. Murray said her son is blessed to be alive and asking why the police shot him. Nicola Murry told ABC's Good Morning America that arriving officers yelled, "Open the door, open the door." When she opened it, an officer outside was holding up a gun and telling her to come outside. Murray said she stepped outside and walked toward the end of the driveway where her mother was. And then she says, I heard a shot and I saw my son run out towards where we were. He then fell bleeding from the gunshot wound, she said. The officer who fired the shot told her that he had shot Aderrien after he came around a corner, she told the show. Yeah, he was probably hiding. He was scared. Moore told CNN he met Aderrien in person for the first time on Thursday. This is the attorney. And described him as being in good spirits, but still shocked about what happened. He's afraid of the police. He is still in pain. Yeah, he's going to be afraid of the police for the rest of his life. It's a very lengthy story, but since she talked to Good Morning America, that kind of brings us to that news source. Now, in the Good Morning America story, they do quote some of the lawsuit, which states the injuries endured by all plaintiffs could have been avoided if the defendants would have acquired the adequate training on how to provide proper assistance and care. However, as a result of the defendant's deliberate indifference, reckless disregard, and gross negligence, plaintiffs sustained injuries and damages. The complaint alleges that Capers arrived at the home with his firearm drawn, that's Officer Capers, and that he fired at Aderrien without warning as the boy emerged from the room. Now they're saying he came around the corner. Here it says he was coming from a room. Or were they already in the house? I don't know. I'm confused on this one. Indianola Mayor Ken Featherstone and the Indianola Police Department did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Aderrien said that he ran to his mother, who was standing outside after he got shot. He says, I was bleeding. I was bleeding from my mouth. Then I would just remember singing a song. Asked what song was he singing, Aderrien said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. By the way, that's a Bible verse in Isaiah 54:17. This kid remembered Isaiah 54:17. This kid quoted the Bible after getting shot by the cops. Talk about a kid that's been trained right by his mother. And I'm not going to get into like religion and faith, but some people may disagree, and we can go back and forth on that all day. But the bottom line is, here's a kid, he gets shot. What does he do? He doesn't cuss out the police. He doesn't scream and yell. He quotes a Bible scripture. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Apparently it may not have prospered because the kid lived. And now he's saying the family is calling for the officer to be fired. This is kind of a lengthy story too, so I won't keep you here any longer with this story. The bottom line, and thank you for listening to this whole story, is that when you call 911, you better be prepared. Better have your affairs in order, because it could be the last time you pick up the phone ever.